So welcome. Thanks for joining me. I'm Tom McCafferty, and today I'll be sharing some thoughts on planning for migrating and modernizing enterprise workloads. We hear from our enterprise customers every day that they want to transform their business. And while the priority of their particular reasons may vary, the goals remain relatively the same. They want to reduce costs, they want to become more agile, they want to drive innovation, they want to improve customer experience, and generally compete in this increasingly digital business environment. And while transformation can be challenging, we're seeing rapidly increasing interest. In fact, recent research shows that over 90% of enterprises are accelerating cloud adoption plans. Things were already trending in this direction with the combination of disruptive cloud technologies and economics, the increasingly connected consumer, and the more than 20 million software developers converting every business into a software experience for the customer, for the employee, and for the supply chain. And then, of course, with the impact of COVID, companies across industries and around the world are now evolving their digital strategies even faster to contend with shifting work styles and increasing pressure to manage costs. What's interesting, though, is that while there's such a desire to accelerate cloud adoption, the bulk of IT spend is still on-premise. The reality is that legacy enterprise workloads are just expensive. And there's real costs of continuing to host these legacy apps on-premise when it comes to hardware, when it comes to facilities, software licensing. But I think the greater concern should be about the opportunity costs. Is this the best place to spend your company's time and money? Is keeping your apps and data on-premise preventing your business from delivering a better customer experience, developing new products and services faster, and ultimately increasing your competitive position and company value? Are you spending time trying to find and train skilled professionals to manage, to maintain, to provision that hardware and software, to manage licenses, to create and maintain security postures and ensure compliance for things that just could be relocated or replaced in the cloud with fully managed offerings? Is your current infrastructure delivering the performance and scale that you need to keep your teams working efficiently? Is your critical business data accessible? Is it delivering insights that can help your business compete? Are your legacy systems integrated with modern systems to deliver that optimal customer experience? These are the things that you should be considering as you think about a digital transformation and as you plan for migration and modernization of enterprise workloads. Okay, so I've made a few references to enterprise workloads, and what do I mean by that? It's this set of applications, the infrastructure and the data that are running your mission-critical services for your business. And we know from thousands of customers that we've worked with to migrate and modernize them in the AWS cloud that it's these workloads that make up the bulk of that cost that I just mentioned. And every enterprise has one or more of these, if not all of them, running their business. These are by far the most used applications for things like financial services, for employee productivity, for data management and processing, for resource planning, and more. Unfortunately, for a lot of businesses, these are the last workloads to be migrated and modernized, even though they can often represent the greatest benefit. And as you can see from the data on this slide, we have a lot of experience with all of these. Most of them we've been helping customers bring to AWS for over a decade. And for those customers, we're delivering business transformation in the form of scale, availability and reliability, lower costs, and ultimately this ability to be more agile and innovate faster. We're working with customers across the globe on workload renovation strategies to transform their business. And through that experience, we've been able to develop tools, services, and programs that are really making AWS the cloud provider of choice for these strategic workloads. So why workload renovation? It's kind of a new concept that combines the ideas of migration and modernization, and we want to work with our customers to build a long-term plan to assess all of them, to help you understand their potential in the AWS cloud and design a strategy not just for migrating them, but also modernizing them to unlock business value. Migration and modernization are not disconnected things, and they're not one-time events. And that's really important to understand. Right? Migration and scale are obvious benefits, but have you considered all the potential of unlocking business data? You've got new processing power in the cloud. There's advancements in analytics and AI ML and data lakes. How about replatforming and re-architecting applications to take advantage of modern development tools and practices? These are the things that we want to help you understand and apply to your business to build that renovation plan to drive a complete transformation. We want to help you build an environment of innovation, and that spans people, process, tools, and services. Understanding and planning migrations is the beginning of any business transformation for enterprise workloads. And we've developed a proven phased approach that can drive immediate scale and cost savings for your business. And that migration planning typically consists of first, this idea of an assessment phase. This is where we help you build a business case and understand how ready you are for this migration. The second is a migration readiness and planning phase. This is where we can build an AWS architecture, build a migration plan, and start to mobilize your business for this migration at scale. And third, this is where we move workloads to AWS. We put an operating model in place to help you manage and optimize your new cloud resources. And once a migration to AWS is complete, you can start leveraging the native AWS services to begin modernizing applications. This can help you drive additional value without having to invest in rewriting a lot of code. As an example, after migrating to AWS, you can immediately improve application availability, security, and performance by just spreading the application across AWS availability zones. You can use AWS services to breathe new life into applications with services like Elasticsearch for an improved search experience, with RDS for scalable database performance, AI ML and data lakes for extracting business intelligence. And ultimately, the value of migrating traditional enterprise apps to AWS becomes unlocked when you can split systems into smaller components to simplify development, deployment, and scalability. So let's expand a little on strategic enterprise workloads that we're focused on helping you move and modernize in the cloud. And we'll start with Windows. So AWS was the first major cloud provider to offer Windows Server instances all the way back in 2008. And working with large Microsoft customers, we've continued to build out new services to simplify not only renovating Windows Server, but also for SQL Server and .NET applications. Customers like World Fuel are seeing the benefits of bringing Windows workloads to AWS. In their case, optimizing Windows licensing in the course of consolidating 20 data centers and cutting costs by 50%. And we're continually innovating in this area, delivering more than 60 service updates last year to ensure that customers are getting an optimized experience with the best performance and security possible. We frequently work with third-party industry analysts like IDC to validate and publish price performance data, with the latest showing a 442% 5-year ROI for customers running Windows on AWS. And some of the areas where we're helping customers improve their Microsoft footprint are, first, migrating Windows Server VMs to AWS. And this is usually done to retire technical debt or increase reliability, often in the support of data center consolidation or data center exit strategies. We can help you with understanding your licensing options, migrations, and setting up POCs. This is where we can perform an optimization licensing assessment and discuss some of the incentives that are available through our migration acceleration program. Second, migrating SQL Server to increase performance or resiliency. If you're facing an end of support, end of sale, it may be time to consider migrating or replacing SQL. With our teams, they can help you review your cloud licensing alternatives. They can explore possibilities and look at the potential of replacing SQL with RDS. Third is about modernizing these .NET applications, and this can help you improve deployment times and even application development. I would encourage you to explore all the DevOps tools that are available and consider refactoring, replatforming, and containerizing .NET applications. With AWS, you'll still be able to use all of the familiar tools that you do today on .NET with a full Windows stack, right? So you can continue to leverage Active Directory, Microsoft SQL Server, and even Windows File Server services. Let's move to SAP. SAP and AWS have a relationship that dates back over a decade, back to when SAP first became an AWS customer. And since then, we've partnered on a series of industry breakthroughs and a continuous stream of innovation on behalf of our SAP customers. AWS has the most experience creating SAP certified cloud offerings and continues to lead by creating industry firsts. And that's led to 5,000 customers migrating and modernizing SAP workloads. Customers like Invista here are a great example. They benefited from modernizing SAP on AWS, being able to leverage on-demand compute infrastructure to scale their data modeling and ultimately reduce downtime and costs. Analyst firm ISG recently published their provider lens for SAP HANA, naming AWS as a leader, highlighting the momentum of service delivery and customer growth of SAP workloads on the AWS platform. Leverage our experience. We can help you navigate these SAP plans and determine what the right path forward is for you. As you think about your SAP journey, it's important to realize that you have options. There's a lot of companies that'll tell you that the only path to getting more from your SAP systems is purchasing licenses and upgrading. And the reality is, there's a lot of different approaches that can get you there. We recognize that your needs are unique. And one of the things that we hear consistently is that customers don't want to be forced into one technical path. You want to have the choice to pick the strategy that's dictated by your business requirements. And for most customers, the first step is getting that existing SAP landscape out of the data center into AWS and taking advantage of that cost-effective, secure, and reliable infrastructure. But like I've already touched on, that's not enough. You don't just want better infrastructure than you've got in the data center. You want to be able to innovate around your core lines of business, and you want to do it faster. So we find that most customers, after migrating, quickly do some modernization of their SAP systems and then start to undergo a more holistic enterprise-wide transformation, which may or may not include an S4 upgrade. And on VMware, it was over 4 years ago now that VMware and AWS partnered to create a hybrid path to the cloud for VMware customers. And this was about building the best customer experience through a jointly engineered offering to provide that simple, cost-effective path to cloud migration and modernization, really for vSphere-based workloads. Customers like William Hill, they had a significant investment in VMware infrastructure, but they were looking to exit data centers and do some cloud transformation. They were able to leverage that investment that they had in VMware licenses, leverage their team's existing skills, but still could rapidly migrate to AWS and then take their time learning AWS systems and services at their own pace. Recent customer interviews suggest that VMware Cloud on AWS customers are reducing infrastructure costs by 40%, total cost of operations by over 40%, and seeing an ROI of 479% over 5 years. As you plan beyond data center virtualization and you look to leverage more cloud infrastructure and tooling in your business, VMware Cloud on AWS is a great path forward. And there's a number of common use cases for VMC on AWS. Since it provides such a familiar landing pad for VMware admins, This solution really can be used for cloud migrations in the case of consolidations or evacuations, whether that's driven by cost savings measures or external events like acquisitions or data center closures. It can be a really easy way to add capacity as an existing extension to your existing data centers for a hybrid model. And in that same manner, it can offer a simple solution for disaster recovery, offering DR tools and then the added capacity in the cloud. And of course, once those virtualized applications are in the AWS cloud, most customers start to optimize them, leveraging new services that are available to start to drive some innovation. Let's talk about databases. You know, the AWS database strategy is to have exactly the right tool for the right job. And our collection of purpose-built databases is unmatched in the industry. Customers that are running commercial databases like Oracle and SQL Server on-prem often choose to first migrate to Amazon RDS, which is our fully managed relational database service. And you can use that to run your choice of database engines, including open source engines, as well as Oracle and SQL Server. Once you break free, you have that full freedom to choose from purpose-built AWS databases. Again, the right tool for the right job. If you want millisecond performance at massive scale, DynamoDB can do the work for you. If you want to modernize legacy data warehouses, Redshift can be ideal for analyzing all of your data in one place. And it's these innovations that are delivering faster throughput, better ROI, and faster deployment times for the over 350,000 databases that have been migrated to AWS. Our experience, this breadth of offerings, these things come together and have consistently landed us in the Leaders Quadrant, now 6 years running, in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for cloud databases. And I think it's important to understand that developers are building highly distributed applications today, and this requires multiple database types. And we currently offer 15 different database engines. But I really just wanted to use this slide to quickly highlight the breadth of our AWS database technologies and to show how unique our catalog of offerings is. In the center there, you'll see our purpose-built database offerings, most of which I mentioned earlier. But I also want to use this slide to show the power of the supporting services. Our specialized tooling for business intelligence, analytics, blockchain, data lakes, and a number of data migration tools and services can help you simplify data movement, right? And they all combine to really help you transform your database environment. Work with us, work with our partners to renovate your databases. Let's reinvent how you store, access, and leverage the data that powers your business. And finally, I wanted to touch on mainframes. And yes, mainframes in the cloud. The reality is, for most of our customers, mainframes are holding their business back. And they should be an important part of any enterprise modernization strategy. They're holding you back in terms of agility. Right? It's difficult to deploy new business functions with mainframes. You want to reduce your time to market. You want to move away from large monoliths. You want to remove archaic interfaces and protocols. They're holding you back in terms of costs. Mainframes are expensive. They can cost multiple thousands of dollars per MIPS, adding up to millions of dollars per mainframe. They're holding you back in terms of digital strategy. You want to embrace cloud benefits. You want to speed up innovation. You want to adopt best-in-class software. And the one we hear very frequently from customers is that they're challenged in finding the right people with the right expertise to continue to maintain these mainframe systems. Over hundreds of mainframe migration projects, we've seen customers reduce infrastructure costs by an average of 70% and increase database performance by 3 to 5x. We're continuing to invest in tools and services to simplify migration and modernization here. Most recently, introducing a mainframe migration competency partner program. This is about building an expanded footprint of professional services to help you make this transition. And when it comes to mainframe use cases, there really is no one-size-fits-all approach. Your experience is going to depend on your business and your IT strategy, and really on the technical constraints of your mainframe. We'll work with you to determine the most suitable pattern for your business. If the mainframe is large enough to process multiple workloads, each workload's characteristics can favor different patterns. Workloads are more easily identified when they're program or data independent. Within one mainframe, a stabilized application can follow one pattern, while an evolving application could be another. This ability to choose multiple strategies specific to the workload is how customers are most successful with the drivers that I mentioned earlier. Really, there's two main families of patterns that we break it down to. The first being short-term migration. This is where we focus on shutting down the mainframe in 1 to 2 years. And the shorter duration really minimizes the risk and provides a faster ROI. This can be done in a variety of ways to meet your exact needs, from hardware and middleware emulation to automated refactoring and even middleware replatforming. And second, we talk about augmentation. This is the idea that you don't really need to replace your mainframe to start to benefit from the AWS cloud. It can be done in parallel. Some customers use data replication techniques between the mainframe data stores and AWS data services, and then use AWS services for business and data analytics. So interesting use cases here may be dev test and backup and archival. So why renovate with AWS? First, you should expect to see cost savings. But cost savings isn't from a single factor like replacing on-prem infrastructure in the cloud or just shifting software licensing models. It's about truly building and operating an optimized environment, leveraging the right resources in the right places, and it takes detailed assessment and planning to get that right. Second, what you do with your apps and data in the cloud is where digital transformation really begins. And when it comes to legacy enterprise applications, it's those years or decades of data that should be the foundation of innovation and differentiation in your business. Third, moving enterprise and apps and data to the AWS cloud opens opportunities for you to rethink how you build and deliver software. Your move to AWS should include planning for transitioning people skills to cloud operations and agile software development. Replatforming and refactoring applications is your opportunity to drive change and efficiencies in your business. And I want to look at each of these in a little bit more detail. We hear now more than ever that our customers are under pressure to cut costs. And IT infrastructure and data center costs are often at the center of that discussion, especially as they're faced with hardware upgrades, software licensing renewals, or continual capacity and infrastructure additions. AWS delivers on the promise of helping you break free from that upgrade and refresh cycle. You should be looking at AWS as the last upgrade you'll ever need to make. All of the capacity, performance, scale, and security that you'll ever need is available to you today, and we're continuing to innovate faster than any other cloud provider. We have by far the broadest array of instances and instance types for customers when they need to choose a specific type of compute, memory, or storage for their application, including the recently announced Graviton 2, which offers you the absolute best price performance in the cloud. AWS is available in most locations with over 80 availability zones spanning 25 regions, serving 245 countries and territories. That's more than 2x any other cloud provider. We offer multiple customer incentive programs, a load of no-cost, low-cost services to simplify migrations, and we have 130 certified migration partners to help you kickstart your cloud-based cost savings initiative. We're actively helping customers optimize licensing costs for third-party software, and we can bring you through an OLA assessment to help with that. And we have thousands of ready to deploy images offerings from our ISV partners in the AWS marketplace. We're customer obsessed, and that's why we've reduced prices more than 100 times since 2006, while continually pushing the envelope on performance. Over those thousands of customer migrations, we're delivering a 31% average infrastructure cost savings. Let us help you shift IT from a cost center to an innovation engine. The next bit I want to dive into is about data transformation, right? Moving your business data in the cloud can help you unlock new business insights. You may have years or decades of customer and transactional data tied up in ERP, CRM, and databases like SQL, maybe various SAP systems, not to mention mainframes that might be processing millions of records and transactions for your company. AWS has the experience, the programs, the partners to migrate applications and databases to the cloud and use the broadest set of analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, scalable databases to help you leverage your business data to drive a new and differentiated experience for your employees and for your customers. Your data is your differentiator. This is the thing that startups in the cloud don't have. Use that. Use the industry-leading data and analytics tools that we have to leverage your data in a new way to drive some real change in your business. And the third one that I want to dive into is, modernization and innovation really starts with migration. And I've said before that migration is rarely the end state. You should choose to migrate to the cloud with innovation in mind. Helping you lift and shift apps, data, and infrastructure today opens up new opportunities for you to modernize tomorrow. As you get comfortable with cloud operating models, you can refactor and replatform applications to start to experiment with the efficiencies from containers, from Kubernetes, from serverless. You can leverage more open source technologies. And you can shift your operating models away from waterfall to agile development and more. At AWS, we are reinventing the core building blocks of compute and data stores that'll allow you to build better and deploy easier and more modern applications. On average, our customers are reporting that they're delivering 3x more features per year. The vast majority of businesses that are running containers in the cloud today run them on AWS. And that's because we just have a lot more capabilities than anyone else. We have Amazon EKS, which is our managed Kubernetes service, and by far the most popular one in the cloud. We have Amazon ECS, which is our native AWS container management service with the AWS style APIs. And we have AWS Fargate, which lets you run containers in a serverless fashion. We've also recently announced EKS and ECS Anywhere, which lets you use those innovations to leverage Kubernetes in your own data center. So you can use it both on-prem and in the cloud. The takeaway here is that innovation is built in, right? When you bring these apps to the cloud, innovation is built in. We're innovating faster than any other cloud provider. And each of the over 200 cloud native services that we offer will be there when you're ready to modernize. And that's for development, for operations, for applications, and really when you're ready to transform your business. So how do you get started on this journey? I want to leave you with kind of 3 basic guidelines that you should be thinking about for a successful renovation of enterprise applications. First, challenge your legacy software provider's license options, whether you're renewing licensing for on-prem or for cloud usage. Don't assume that your provider's cloud is the best or lowest cost place to run their software. Consider the long term. Explore ways to drive innovation in these applications. Have a plan for migration and modernization. Second, engage the experts at AWS and our partners to help you. We want to assess your current portfolio. We want to help you prioritize where to begin. We've got a lot of tools to help you understand this, to evaluate your licensing, to understand your application dependencies and more. The third is work with our professional services, work with our certified migration partners. They can guide you through this experience. They can train your team. You don't have to do this alone. Right? Take advantage of the experience and expertise we have to drive this change in your business. Thank you for the time. I mean, hopefully this has helped you build a foundation for you to start planning for migration and modernization of enterprise workloads. There's a lot of great deep dive detail on each of these individual workloads available to you on our website and through additional webinars in this series.